You are listening to the Critical Mass Radio Show, Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
Hello and welcome to Orange County's longest running business talk show. And yes, I am your host. And do we have a good show planned for you? Why do you ask? And that's a fair question. Because Kartik Chandar is our guest. He is the owner of Avant-Garde Ventures, Incorporated. Kartik, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I look forward
Happy to be here.
Yeah, me too. Let's get right into it. As a owner, founder, maybe you can take us back in time, 5 years, 6 years, however long ago it was when you decided to launch Avant-Garde Ventures. And what was the inspiration for doing that?
I'm glad you asked the question. I've always had an entrepreneurial streak. I always had ideas that I wanted to implement, so on and so forth. So I set up Avant-Garde Ventures a while ago, working on some of these things on the side while I was holding a job, etc. So that the company's been around for a little bit, but back in 2020, with a certain set of circumstances, it so worked out that I had a great opportunity to explore doing this full time rather than doing it as a side, following my ideas as a side gig. And so what I ended up doing is took the plunge, left the regular job scene, and decided to do this full time. And so that's kind of how it started. Funnily, the decision was made in 2020, probably towards the end of March. So my timing was immaculate with COVID just being announced. Probably, I won't say more than a week after I decided to do this. Timing has always been very interesting in that regard. So.
You're still here 5 years later with a successful firm. So that's a testament to a lot. It's hard to be a founder of a company, and even more challenging if you're doing it in the face of a 100-year pandemic. So congratulations on your success. Have you had what have you learned since you launched? Any pivots to the business? How has the business evolved since you brought it into the marketplace?
So, I'm not doing anything significantly different than what I've done in my career. I basically run and manage systems, IT organizations for companies, and so on and so forth. So now I'm doing this kind of from the other side. Few things I learned early on is obviously there is a value to brand. So in certain circumstances, larger organizations prefer to work with larger consulting partners, understandably so. But I think what happens, or what we have, is there is a lot of probably a lot of other folks like me who have the large company experience and expertise and can bring that to a different set of businesses that may not otherwise consider that, because going to Accenture, Capgemini, Cognizant or something might be a much larger undertaking for some of these organizations. But I think there are a lot of folks like me who could bring that large company expertise and experience to the smaller and mid-size organizations as well. So I think that was probably one. I wouldn't call it a major pivot, but just kind of refocusing a little bit. Because I think bringing this kind of all our learnings from having lived through this and at scale, bringing that down to companies who are looking to scale would be, I would think, very valuable for the smaller companies that are looking to get big.
Sure, it sometimes we don't realize what we know until we share a bit with people who haven't heard that before. And it sounds like that's your kind of enlightenment by your background being valuable to people because they just haven't been exposed to it.
Yeah, or there are preconceived notions that, getting something like that is going to cost a ton of money. And I'd have to hire a larger organization which comes with their, billing rates and such. But I think there is a lot more options available to smaller companies who are looking to get too big.
Well, you're in a fast-moving industry in space, so let's talk about Avant-Garde Ventures Incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
What problems are you solving? What's the niche that you have found to be the most kind of lucrative for you? And then share with us your thoughts on the type of clients who really can engage with your firm and maximize the ROI of working with you.
So my experience has been quite wide in the regard, having done this for 25 years for organizations managing all kinds of systems, ERPs, CRMs, the BI and analytics platforms, integration platforms, and laying out kind of the IT strategy for these organizations. Um, I feel if a client has a need and I can present a solution that works, the applicability is pretty wide. However, what I do like, one of the things areas I'm focusing on heavily is the smaller to mid-sized business that is looking to want to scale, and doing certain things at the right time and preempting some of the problems that they may face as larger organizations is something I can definitely help them with. Because having been there in the larger side, the problems, and there were so many instances I only wish if it could go back in time 10 years and lay this right from day one, it would have been a way smoother ride and a lot better experience right now, or a circumstance right now. So I'm trying to help the smaller companies set that up today and set it up in the right way out the gate. So then as they are scaling, the system is supporting them throughout and they're not having to do a lot of rework. So that I would say. So if you ask me for what my target area is, I would say manufacturing and distribution businesses who have inventory and are carrying inventory, and they have MRP or requirements planning, master production scheduling, those kind of needs, and they are operating a lot in Excel and Word and on paper, then just because they don't have the right infrastructure in place, right? And again, going back to preconceived notions, if they are on QuickBooks, and QuickBooks is not really that great at supporting scaling for some of these organizations, they are having to do it on paper, and that you can only go so far. And the reason a lot of them are doing it is because there is, again, a fear of what ERP costs they have heard in the past being a huge, the general communication goes out, "Oh, it's a $5 million ERP implementation, or X million dollars, or X hundreds of thousands of dollars." That's not the case as much the whole ERP scenario and CRM scenario has changed significantly, that there are available options for these smaller businesses to establish a single system, a single platform that will take care of their entire operations, end-to-end inventory management, MRP, MPS, all their accounting. So everything is in one place, right? So they are not trying to manage inventory in Excel and update it in QuickBooks and, spending a ton of energy doing manual work. The idea is to take all that away so they can focus on growing the business, and it scales with them. There are options available today that are, I wouldn't say the same exact cost as QuickBooks. It's going to be a little bit more, but they are nowhere in the neighborhood of the $500,000, $1 million kind of things. It's much smaller in nature, very close to, you can even get it under 100 grand depending on your circumstance, and right about there. And then that sets you up to go up to 250 million in revenue. At that point, you have a big IT department. You can scale to the next level.
Yeah, excuse me. It's been my experience that many SMB business owners have systems that have worked for them up to a certain point, and they're really reluctant to give up what they know.
Yeah, so it is that change, and changes is scary, right? You have a platform that has gotten you to this point, but you have to, not to say it applies in every situation, but you have to evaluate it. Is it an hour-driven thing, right? So you can scale to a certain level, but it is taking, let's just say 16 hours of your time. If you want to double, will it need 32 hours, and can you get 32 hours in a day is the whole thing. So setting those automations in place that take away unnecessary steps helps you bring it down to an 8-hour day, and now in 16 hours you can get to twice the amount, and then you improve on that again and scale that way.
So one more question, then we'll move on.
Yeah.
there's one thing about choosing the right technology that is good for today, but gives you this growth headroom to maybe $250 million. That sounds fantastic. What is your experience with retraining the workforce who has maybe for years done it one way and now they have to learn to do it a different way? What have you found, Kartik, in that challenge or opportunity?
I would say one of the biggest things I have found, there is a resistance to change. So there is a little bit of being open to new things, but in a lot of cases, the workforce is actually ready because they see that inefficiency. They see, why do I have to take this number here every day or plug it in here and then go here, right? So they all know the inefficiency. So I think taking on the right approach in communication and having a little bit of empathy, right? I mean, the part of any system implementation is having you kind of go through a little dip in productivity as you're learning new things, and then you go up. But when you go up, you're not just going up to the same level you started at. You're going way above that level, right? So you have to be ready and supporting during that in that dip and set them up the right way. Listen to them. I think one of the biggest part is you got to listen to the business at all levels, right? Because at a certain level, you may not be visible. You may not have visibility to all the minutiae that is going on, and there might be huge opportunities in there as well to make their lives easier. And now you got them on board. Once you get them on board, they'll be willing to move with you because it's making their life easy.
One of the things that I've also seen is if these companies are growing and maybe they have an appetite for exit, the type of systems they run their business on really can give them a haircut on price. If the acquiring company looks at it and goes, you're running a $50 million business on QuickBook and Excel and Band-Aid.
It's numbers, right? When a company is acquiring you, they have an estimated cost of integrating you, right? Now, if you add to it a whole systems implementation is almost required, the technology debt has to be cleared out. Those are cost elements that get added, which effectively somebody's got to pay. Usually, it'll be the seller who will pay for some of those things, because if the buyer really wants the business, they'll buy the business. But if these things are in place, the seller can demand a higher price. So effectively, the seller is paying for it one way or the other. Why not pay for it early, lesser, make your life easy along the journey too?
Okay, this has been fun so far. Let's move you in a different direction. As a newly minted founder, entrepreneur in 2020, 2021, I don't know, you tell me, 2022, did you ever feel isolated or alone because the nature of the business was now not what you had done previously?
I think that definitely is an element of people understanding your situation or not understanding your situation well as well. You don't, unless it's very personal in nature and you have somebody else who's gone through the same thing or is going through the same thing or has gotten out of it. You haven't lived through that, the situation where the hard parts are, right? Like you're worried when's the contract going to get signed. You are worried what could get in the way, those kind of things. So while you can project those things, I mean, people would walk into these things with their eyes open. Yes, I expect this. Yes, I expect this. But it is still available, right? I mean, you can plan for, let's say, a year's worth of runway to get up and going. But what if you can't get up and going? Then what happens? So you're always, I feel, that's part of the journey, is living through it and then and coming up with, solving each problem as it comes. And a lot of it is, you end up doing so many different things. There is a lot of context switching that has to happen all the time between calls. You have 5 minutes to switch from one client to the other client call, and you have to kind of unload everything that was on the last one and reload the new one, and then have a conversation like you were always there, kind of thing. So So there's a lot more of that. There's a lot more of figuring different aspects of the business. Some are tactical, some are strategic, but that's the journey. So.
Yeah, I like you spent a number of years in the corporate world, and then I decided at one point I was going to bet on myself and become an entrepreneur. Unlike you, I didn't start during the COVID. I started during the Great Recession in 2008, 2009. So I didn't see that coming either. So, but we're both still standing here. One of the lessons that I had to learn is the importance of cash flow in the early days of the business.
Absolutely. Cash flow is king. There is no question about it. That is the number one thing that businesses need to focus on. So.
Right. And to have sort of the visibility to the future cash flows and needs of the business, because growth requires investment. Investment means cash usually, and you got to feed the beast. All right.
Yeah.
Think about a piece of business advice, if you would, Kartik, that has been valuable for you, that you kind of reflect on occasion. And if there's something that comes to mind, and I hope there is, can you pay it forward and share it with our audience today?
One piece of business advice, or advice in general, is you have to listen to the needs of whoever you're trying to help, and not walk in and try not to walk in with preconceived notions about it. Right? You may have as a prep an understanding of what you may think might be the problem. You leave it on the side while you're having, and when you're looking at it, try to be completely a blank sheet of paper, if you will, and listen to what you get, because sometimes it may change, and you may find the root cause. What you thought might be completely different than the root cause that it is in reality. That helps you understand the problem better, but B, also it helps the party on the other side felt heard. And in my experience, buy-in is kind of one of the biggest elements of success. You may have a system which is designed not optimally, but if you have buy-in, you'll probably get more out of it than an optimal system that is not got buy-in behind it. Right? So listening is very critical, and truly trying to seek to understand before you kind of just direct and walk in with, this is how we want to do it approach.
Sounds like you threw a little Stephen Covey into that answer.
I guess a lot of what you read in books does apply, and when you live through it, you can kind of tie it down to what you read. So.
It is. Hopefully, that's not an urgent call.
No, apologize.
But that's great insight, because it is a challenge as a consultant, let's say, that sees a variety of different problems, to be able to quickly assess what the core problem is, because you've seen it in different permutations. But you have to fight the urge to solve the problem until the client has had a chance to really explain the problem to you, because if not, it feels like, I think many times the prospect goes, they're not listening. They just have a solution, and everything it's a hammer and everything's a nail.
Exactly.
Even if you're right, they feel like, wow, it's not very personal.
Exactly.
Especially in for us who are doing a combination of products and services. It's not just here, buy this widget and it'll solve your problem. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so I was excited to have you on the show for a variety of reasons, Kartik, but one of them clearly is the next subject, which is artificial intelligence. Can you give us a sense for your view of it as an innovation, and then maybe talk about how you're seeing clients are leveraging it, and maybe how you within your firm are leveraging it?
So AI is definitely here. It is growing at a mind-boggling pace. You have new things coming up everywhere. In my view, it is definitely something that's going to stay with us. Kind of like you can somewhat equate it to when internet first kind of started out and became a whole new thing, and everybody was running and doing things with it. And it has now kind of become gone in the background. It's just there. It's assumed to be there, and you live with it, and you've learned to use it in such a way that the fact that you have that has just kind of gone, like baseline requirement, if you will, or you absolutely need to have kind of thing. I feel AI is in that early stages. There is a lot of fantastic ideas. It has immense capability, and it'll surprise you a lot of times. I definitely see it as a huge productivity multiplier. So it'll allow you to do a lot more than what you're able to do. If you're asking me, is it going to replace us? I don't think so. It's going to take over the it's going to take over some of the mundane stuff for us. It's going to allow us to focus on the higher level thinking and planning and designing aspects of things in the longer run. So that's kind of where I feel AI is going to take us.
Interesting. From my perspective, tell me how you feel about this.
At least for the foreseeable future, it's moving so fast.
Right.
You ask.
Okay, I think I had a little hiccup in the technology there, but that's
yeah, we had a little hiccup there. Yes.
See? We were talking about the internet and how important it is, and that just gave us an example of what happens if it's not there for you. See?
Exactly. It's now assumed to be there, and you live in it. So.
Right. Yeah, I can't imagine business without it. How would I do this show if it wasn't for the internet, frankly?
So were you able to get the last part of what I said around AI, or was it?
I did. And where it cut out is where I think I started to ask you a follow-up question. And if I could, maybe a little bit of time left, I'd like to.
Sure.
It seems like to me that AI is functioning best in places where there's a lot of good information for it to be trained on, to learn from.
Yeah.
And it seems like in your systems, whether it's the ERP system or some other accounting system, it's populated hopefully with a lot of accurate data. So I would think over time, those platforms are going to figure out how to leverage artificial intelligence to make their platforms even more efficient, effective, intelligent, etc. Do you see that as a potential?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing about AI, so I think you may have heard a couple of these statistics. Rand Corporation published something, said 80% of AI initiatives are going to fail. MIT has published something about 95% or some ridiculous number. There are elements of it, though. You hear it all the time. I get requests from people like, I heard my friend did this with ChatGPT. Why can't we do it? It's not as straightforward as that. The biggest thing, and I don't think Rand and MIT are going to be all wrong, but they are giving us an indication. And this is because there are some fundamental elements, right? You need to pick the right place to use AI. There's a combination of the most important capabilities that an organization needs to focus on to operate well and do well. So pick the right capability that you want to enhance with AI, and then pick the right readiness. This readiness aspect is huge. And you can break it down into people, process, and technology, right? Are your people ready to accept this? Are your processes ready to accept it and integrate it and leverage it to its maximum? And then you have the right technology platform. And I mean both the systems and the data, right? Because both are equally there. If you have those three combinations, then you'll have to figure out a way to evaluate how well your organization can handle it, and identifying the right use cases and the capabilities that are important. That's where you're going to get your maximum bang for your buck. And the ability to do something is probably already there with AI. We need to learn the ability to use it the right way, in the right place, for the right purpose. And I think that's where the benefit's going to come from in businesses. And I feel that is key aspect of defining your AI strategy is understand the capability model, build a capability model, understand the business, and understand what's important in the business through that capability model, and then understand your readiness. Pick the top right quadrant, high important capability, high readiness, and that's your low-hanging fruit for an AI implementation.
Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. We got several teachable moments throughout today, and that one certainly, hopefully, if you're taking notes, you wrote that down. If not, you can go back, listen to the recording, and it's available in a bunch of different places after the show streams live. Okay, talk to me about your vision for the future of Avant-Garde. Where do you see the company going?
I feel we would like to be able to help more and more smaller businesses scale. So that's a key part. I would definitely be bringing in this capability modeling concept to all of them because it is a fundamental framework that can help define all aspects of their business operation, including AI strategy, like we just talked. And hoping to get more businesses see the benefit of technology, leverage AI in the right places, all the entire technology platform, and kind of just upgrade their operations in a way where they are able to focus on the thing that is critical or core to the business, on growing the business, and not worry about the ancillary bits as much. Try to get that to be almost a utility, make that entire technology platform be like you just expect it there, kind of like the internet that we do.
So where are your customers located? Are they Southern California based? Are they national, global? How do you see that?
We have a global reach. I think COVID taught us to do a lot of web meetings, so a lot of travel has not been has been removed from that perspective, and it has made a wider reach. We work with people across the entire United States, no problem on that. Travel as and when appropriate and required. I am a big believer of having in-person meetings because it helps you form better relationships, talk in terms of this and that rather than on a whiteboard. That's where the great ideas, you solve problems a lot quicker. So the more in-person is what I prefer, but happy to work with the client whichever way they want.
So if someone would like to connect with you on LinkedIn and learn more about the firm, how do they do that?
So yeah, my LinkedIn profile is it's LinkedIn/Kartik Chandar. If you just search for me, it should pop up. I'm lucky enough that I don't have a super common name. There are a few others with mine, but that way. And the company's Avant-Garde Ventures, and our website is avant-garde.ventures. No com. We got a .ventures domain.
So last question. Tell me about the significance of the name.
Funnily, I did spend a whole bunch of time trying to figure out the right name for the company. I was looking for something. I'd like to be on the cutting edge. Avant-garde means cutting edge. So the idea was this is cutting edge ventures. Come up with and we're focused on consulting right now. But if there are other ideas and everything that we want to come up with, we want to be able to launch it through Avant-Garde Ventures.
Well, I said at the top of the show, we had a good one planned for you, and Kartik, you did not disappoint. Thank you very much for sharing a bit of your knowledge. I've thoroughly enjoyed our time together today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a real pleasure, and look forward to continuing our conversations.
Absolutely, and thank you to the audience. You're a part of Orange County's longest running business talk show and podcast. Kartik's episode is going to join our catalog of 1,600 plus episodes. If you happen to be an Orange County entrepreneur, or you're in the Inland Empire and you'd like to be a guest on our show, reach out to me on LinkedIn and I'd be happy to work with you to get you scheduled on a future episode. And until the next time we all have a chance to be together, I hope all of your decisions move your business in a positive direction.